Alright, folks. So, as you'll notice, the the oil burning heater has come inside. A lot more has happened. Whilst it might look like the internals of the original external outside remote oil burning shed heater, it's been cut up and welded back together 100 times at least. I basically flogged a dead horse so hard that it came back to life. Many reasons. So I guess we'll fire the old girl up. I'll show you what I can on the outside, and then I'll have to draw you a couple of little pictures to explain what's going on with the burner and whatnot, and we'll have a chat about perhaps know when to quit and starting again from afresh is concerned, because that would have been the better thing to do here, but maybe I'm a little bit stubborn, I don't know. Let's get her fired up, and it sounds like a flathead V8 as well, which is pretty amusing, right? From outside it sounds like a V8 in a boat, maybe, blah 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 blah. Right, let me get it fired up for you, and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so for starting, we've got a bolt on the bottom that pushes the burner pan up into this section of pipe for a sort of semi-gas type seal. Where's my fucking hammer? There we go. There's a wedge. Oh, I machined on it. You can't really see this because it's dirty now. There's a bit of a chamfer on here, and I'll show you the. And this bit of pipe has a chamfer and a step. Just knock that shit out of there. Starting wants a mix of kerosene and engine oil, so there's a 50-50 sort of mix in here. It just makes it a bit easier to start. It runs completely on waste engine oil, not just waste engine oil. Anything that's in the oil, there's all sorts in there. Old radiator water, probably gearbox fluid. Anything else the garage are thrown in there. Once the fan on for starting, it's on my little power supply at the minute, just because I'm waiting for a rheostat to come off eBay, but I accidentally ordered one from China, so that'll be a little while coming. I'm about to make a big mess in the shed, so I thought I'd show you now before the shed gets really messy. It's always messy. I know it's always messy, but I'm actually tidying up at the minute, just so I can make an extra big mess, got to do it sometimes, haven't you? Anyway, fan's going, but I found I've been through so many different fans getting this how I wanted it. This is quite a big fan, and at no point do I ever have it running full bore, but I can have it ticking over as low as it will go for starting. She's on 2 volts in a minute. Just ticking over. I did have it running on a tiny little 60mm like computer case fan sort of thing, one of those flat axial fans. That was nice. It got running. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But, I mean, so many things to think about with burning dirty oil, isn't it? If it's not burning right, you're gonna get bunged up with shit eventually. Okay. Just wait. I like to see that cardboard catches properly. Yeah, that's going. So now now what? Fit that bowl back. Dig the bolt up. That's just pressing on the bottom of the pan there. It's not a perfect gas tight seal. I do get little puffs of smoke out when I'm starting, but when it's running there's no smoke coming out the bottom here. Yeah, turn the fan up a bit. Oh, camera's fogging up. I'll bring you back in a bit when it's glowing red hot and we got the shed warm and the camera's defogged. In the meantime, do you want some footage of a steam engine? Here you go. Right. I just found a little motor controller in my electronics pile. More noise, less noise. More noise, less noise. That's nice, isn't it? I just fired it up again actually. We'll let it get hot. We're out on the Mercury now. It's not actually that cold a day and it's been running earlier. So what have we got? 14 degrees. We'll let it get up to 25 or so. So I kind of made a really bad attempt at a dripper. This is just copper pipe fittings rather than using nuts and that. Didn't even clean it afterwards, like the scumbag that I am. What? Oh, there we go. Oh my god, what does that mean? About to explode in our faces, isn't it? Sounding a bit boring today actually. Had a bit of a burble to it. I don't know, probably a difference in oil. Anyway, this is all done when I thought I was going to be belching out you know, thousands of kilowatts with the original setup. So I, you know, put this ring in first. That's in contact with the plywood on the inside. Then I had a bit of an air gap, and then this ring, and then there's another air gap, and then the exhaust. This old box was the cabinet that housed all the switch gear for the electric crane that preceded the mighty crane over the underground workshop. And this has housed a couple of sets of pumps. They're still in there, look. But at the minute they're not in use, so I've got the pump bolted onto the bottom of the stove now, and I've just got a fuel line running through here. So if I do make a metering pump, a fuel pump, that'll go in here probably. And then I've got the original fuel tank that we started off with, but this is on stilts because what? Yeah, it wasn't high enough as it was. So that's all the outside stuff. It sounded great yesterday, blah 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 blah, but it's yeah, a bit lame today. I don't know what it is.
Schlager thrust in the guts. I hadn't forgotten the 2 guts I owed him either, so we were even there. He never referred to our encounter, but now and then in the coach I would catch his dark eyes on me, and then they would slide away, looking anywhere but at me. He was one who wouldn't be sorry of the excuse to draw a bead on my back if I tried to run for it.
Okay, so externally I'm sure you can maybe recognise the finned section there from the original burner. Everything below it is new, below the fin section that is, and the chimney is the same. Then it's got a wrap around here, just a bit of mild steel that I rolled up. That actually there's 2 thicknesses there. Just about make that out there. And then that's Jubilee clamp top and bottom to join it to that nice bit of stainless. This surround that I made, I put that up originally when I was expecting to use the heater as it was outside, yeah, and that whole thing was glowing red hot then. Obviously this is a bit tamer now, so this kind of feels a little bit excessive, but I don't know, better safe than sorry, I suppose. It's not going to burn the shed down, is it? It is sat on a bit of a drip tray there, which is good because I've spilt a bit of oil, and that's the tangential blower that I had, that had been used to circulate the air through here, but now it's supplying the combustion air for this heater. Just going into a bit of 4x2 box section there. Yep. And what else? I did make another nozzle, so it's all 8mm OD pipe, and that's a 12mm bolt with a little drip tip on it. Fucking trains. Alright, so the journey of evolution, because this is only meant to be a quick job, I didn't video it. So I mean, I'll just move the whole thing inside, and then I decided, no, you know what, I'm going to start from scratch. I actually started videoing the beginning of a new stove, and then I thought, this is ridiculous. What's the point in making a new one? I'll just put the old one in here, and even if it's too unbearably hot, I don't care, I'll just run it for a bit. I can't waste any more time on this. Yeah, so I did that. I plumbed put a bit of pipe through the wall there that's on the blower outside, thinking I could keep it nice and quiet. So with the original airbed pump, I could still hear it, like like it was right next to me. So it's in a wooden box outside, and that wooden box has got two bits of plywood on the back of it with a gap in between. I filled that gap with spray foam, and then I filled the gap in between the box and the shed with spray foam, and then because I've got this ply lined on the inside and there's a 2-inch gap there, I dumped a load of spray foam down there, and yeah, you know, it made absolutely no difference. Like, you might as well have been in here with me, but at the same time I rigged the fuel system so that the fuel tank's outside, so hopefully that'll cut down on the mess a little bit. So I had it fired up a couple of times in its original guise. I've made this nice you know, ornate frame for it so I could sit here. That was okay. I can't remember what happened there. Bad things happened. I made a little preheater, you know, because the original setup, which is a thick old bit of metal, here's my tobacco tin preheater, so I can fill that with kerosene. It's got 4 weeks here, and light it off and stick it underneath, get it nice and hot, and then put fuel in. And I had a couple of minor explosions and that, and it showered everything with oil. It just blows it all back. You know, when there's too much smoke, vapor built up in there, and you touch it off, and it's like a fucking cannon, isn't it? You know. But you know, I'll always keep my face out of the way. I'm not stupid, so yeah. I mean, you've got to be mindful of stuff like that. That you don't try peering through holes whilst you're trying to light things. I mean, you know, you have to be pretty silly to do that, I reckon. But people have accidents, you know. People do have accidents, so whatever. Either way, I decided that with the airbed blower, it was just too noisy. I was making too much heat. I was having too many accidents. Using that Kero burner to get things going, it was just covering everything in soot, and then it was all dropping off when it got hot, making a terrible mess in here, which was one of the original reasons for putting it outside. So I tried getting a camping stove under there, wouldn't quite fit, and I thought about changing it, but in the meantime I'd put a different blower on there, a 12-volt blower, which is a little bit quieter, a little bit. I probably could listen to my phone in here, and I could probably make a video in here, but it wasn't quite powerful enough, so the sort of backfires and explosions were even worse whilst I was starting it. It'd run though, but I ended up dripping fuel into it without the blower and just running it like that for a bit, and it's actually you know, put out a reasonable amount of heat. So I thought, you know, probably I can make the best of a bad situation, and because I've already made a frame and all surround and it's all fitted for this, I could perhaps turn what I had then, which is completely excessive, into just a simple dripper stove, yeah, with no forced induction. So that was the original design. Yeah, it had air inlet at the bottom, little swirl going for an orifice into the main chamber, then a baffle at the top, and then chimney. Yeah, that was how I originally built it. Yep. And then the next iteration, we've got a few pages to work through here, guys. You know, I've had a busy week with this fucking thing. Next iteration, I just cut the bottom away so there's a little hole there, and put a little curry dish in there, little pickle dish, and just drip the oil straight into that. Yeah, and it didn't go up the hole. I mean, it did kind of work, but didn't put out any real heat. You know, it did exactly what I expected it to. Polluted the air in here quite a bit and kind of put out a little bit of heat. It would have, you know, it would have stopped it from freezing in here, I suppose. So that wasn't sufficient. I got looking at other people's dripper designs on YouTube, and that seemed to be one of the most popular sort of dripper designs, with a bowl underneath to catch oil. The oil drips down into that bowl, and you have a tube going up into your chamber. Everyone who's done this, they're all using sort of 4-inch pipe there, and you know, they've all got 6-inch chimneys plus. Because I'd already installed this with a 3-inch chimney, yeah, you know, that's a quarter of the area of a 6-inch chimney. Is that right? It's less than half anyway, isn't it? Whatever. I think it's a quarter. So you double the diameter and square the area. I don't know. Easy enough to check, isn't it? I'm not going to though. Either way, yeah, that was working. It was drawing, and it was not what wasn't it doing? Not polluting the atmosphere in here, yeah. But again, it just wasn't quite making, you know, a sensible amount of heat. It wasn't drawing well enough. So I started just playing around with a fan and just blowing it at the bottom, and you know, hey presto, it had a marked effect on it, and it was suddenly burning a lot more, like sort of a leapfrog. So like, you know, I've gone from using quite a lot of draft to using no draft to thinking that, you know, if I could combine this with a little sniff of draft, just a little sniff, then we'd be on to some sort of winner, wouldn't we? So that was the next iteration, was going to the same sort of thing, but I made a shroud to go around this section here, just out of sheet metal, and then pipe tearing from the outside, and that was good, except I started polluting the air in here again, because you know, it'd blow anywhere it could. It would just blow out all the hot oil vapor and smoke and stuff, and it got bad in here very, very quickly. Yeah, that wasn't the worst thing. I mean, the worst of the explosions was with the original attempt at piping the air through the wall when I dropped down a blower size. That was the sketchiest, but this kind of got bad, but nothing really serious. And the flames were worse with this one. That was the closest I came to burning the shed down, I think. But it was at that point that I put the bolt on the bottom to force that bowl up. But again, that bowl was never meant to be airtight in the first place. So, and because it was just a flat disc there that I'd welded onto a pipe, that was all warped. And that was just a hand cut bit of, the bowl was just a hand cut bit of pipe that I'd cut off an angle grinder, so it wasn't even flat. So even if the plate had been flat, the bowl wasn't. So it wasn't gas tight or anything. It's just to get it as close as possible as it was. Having seen that, but that actually worked quite nicely. I mean, you know, despite having only a 3-inch chimney, that worked quite nicely. So at that point, I figured, like, you know, we've got something that kind of works well. So we'll go on to the last and final iteration, which is what we have here, which is the same tube and plate. I never got rid of that. It's got the tube with the perforations in the bottom there. But this time I just cut away everything that I welded to it and put a bit of gas bottle in the lathe and turn those chamfers on. Yeah, the chamfers go in a inwards direction, so if oil drips on it at all, it's always going to flow into the bowl rather than the other way and flowing out the bowl outside. And whilst it's not airtight, it's nowhere near gas tight, because I welded a load of stuff to it after I made the chamfers on the lathe, both sides. Like, it's warped a bit, but it's absolutely close enough. And the original iteration of that just used a 40mm or 60mm computer fan, very small thing. It's actually an AC fan, so it's not really meant for a computer. I don't really know what it's meant for. Don't even know why I have it, to be honest. But that was working fine. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Got the whole thing glowing red hot, or the top of it anyway, not the whole thing. And it made a you know, I was well chuffed with that, until the next day when I tried firing it up again, and it's really peculiar. I mean, you could see straight away what was happening. You know, to start the fan to light it, and whereas originally I'd lit the cardboard wick in there, or the cloth or whatever I'd shoved in there with the kerosene, and it, even though the bowl wasn't bolted up to the bottom of the burner, it would still chase the flames and the smoke in there. It's just a nice thing to watch, you know. But this time everything just went out the sides, you know what I mean? So there's obviously something amiss there. And so I pulled the thing off the wall and checked it, and obviously it's just choked up with shit. So I figured it's not getting hot enough in that. But there's, you know, so I unclogged it all and messed around with it a bit more, and decided that you know, I've got to get this thing incredibly hot. Maybe not all the time, but every now and again. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to bung up, because it's there's, you know, ash stalactites on the inside and all sorts. It's quite impressive the amount of shit it collected in a day or two. So that's why I put the big blow on there, and that'll really get the whole thing glowing red hot. So that was the only thing I changed at that point. So no changes to the burner after that. And oh, here we are, a few days later, happily ever after. I haven't had to take it apart and clean it, and amazingly the pan at the bottom, isn't collecting all that shit. So I mean, one of the reasons I originally didn't want this sort of burner was because of the cleaning, and we had a commercial version at work, kind of similar in principle to what we've got here. And that required constant cleaning. You know, the thing was an absolute pig. It was great. Like, we probably wouldn't have had a heated hanger otherwise. Hangers are expensive to heat. But yeah, I mean, that required constant cleaning just because it intentionally, to keep it safe, it never got hot enough to burn all the crap off completely. So you'd have to, you know, chisel away at this pan every week, and the fuel pipe that fed it, that would get bunged up as well, so you'd take that off and put a drill through it and smash the fuck out of stuff with a hammer to get it, you know, to knock the deposits off, you know. And they were never clean. It wasn't like they were dry. They were sort of had the tarry remnants of the oil left in them, the stuff that wouldn't. It was always the last thing to get cooked off, but you know, would remain from the last burn. So you'd get absolutely filthy doing that, you know, cleaning it up. But so far it's not been that bad with this. I'm sure it will get bad, but we won't be using it long. This has only got to last this winter, and like, obviously I wasted most of this winter already building this bloody stove, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the hopefully entertaining story of the development of a stove that's not really that good. It's a complete bastard of everyone else's ideas put together. Doesn't achieve anything I originally set out to do, other than getting the shed to a reasonable temperature so we can do some work with composites. Like I say, the main goal is achieved. Yeah, that's really, it isn't all that matters, but I suppose we'll have to work around the filth. The filth is a little bit of a problem with glass fibre, but it's not like I'm doing anything serious like making flying machines or anything, is it? We can cope with it, can't we? That's it. Yeah. So I've got no excuses now. I can get on with it, I suppose. I've got the shed is nice and tidy. I've got some sheets of MDF because we've got to make some plugs so that we can make our glass fibre moulds. And then with the glass fibre moulds, some of them are going to, I've got all my glass fibre and shit there. Some of them are going to be used as they are, and others are going to be used to make other moulds, to make the concrete sections for the bunker. So this is, you've got to get things straightened out here. There's going to be a lot of this going on now for probably a month at least, I suppose, of fiberglassing. Just getting myself in a position where we shouldn't have any more hindrances. The progress of this, fuck's sakes, progress of the bunker. Once we can start casting concrete, hey? Right. So I hope this has been interesting, entertaining. I don't know, something. I hope it's been something. Maybe everyone will see sense and not bother making an oil burning stove. It does make me wonder. It does make me wonder. Obviously, there's people out there on the internet that I trust a lot, and then there's other, and there's other people. Even if I don't know them, I can look at their videos and see, that guy's, that's been running a long time, isn't it? But then there's others, like these amazing DIY channels or whatever, shit like that, like just where they make, wow, best tool ever, wow, I can't believe I never knew this, those sort of videos, just, make something that's dubious, and I'll think to myself, like, you can't just throw, so you've got to learn about burning oil before it'll work, I'm not saying, I'm the brains of Britain here, slow learner, but I kind of have my doubts as to how genuine a lot of these things are, But as always, I'll point you in the direction of oil burner, because he's certainly someone one of the ones that I do trust. Or myself sometimes. What the fuck? It's just constant mess, isn't it? That's what you got to live with. For fuck's sakes, I made it 10 times worse, didn't I? Oh well. Yeah. Anyway, folks. Hello. On the homemade wipe your hands with wipe your face with a dirty hand. On the homemade sloe brandy, other people take their sloes and mix it with shop bought gin. Just fucking bypass all that crap and still my own brandy from the sloes that I forced the kids to pick. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you all later. Hey, cheerio, bye bye.